Missiles and drones dominate the skies. Russia's latest offensive has unleashed a crippling wave of attacks targeting Ukraine's energy sector with precision. President Zelensky describes it as one of the heaviest bombardments since the war began nearly 3 years ago. Ukraine in turn has struck deep into Russian territory using American and British missiles, but the scale of Russian retaliation is overwhelming. Apart from ballistic and cruise missiles from the air, Russian troops are firing advanced weaponry targeting Ukrainian positions. This is 2S5 Giat S 152mm self-propelled gun. Apart from conventional ammunition, the gun can also fire nuclear projectiles. Civilians in Ukraine endure relentless shelling, struggling for survival as winter deepens.
It's a frontline town. There was shooting all the time. You go out in the morning with a coffee onto the balcony of the apartment you were renting, and there were shells flying there and back. So scary, made you want to run straight away.
Iran's President Pezeshkian signs a strategic partnership in Moscow, joining Russia's growing alliance with North Korea, Belarus and China.
We will not only have the opportunity to discuss and will discuss all areas of our cooperation, but we will also sign a broad, basic agreement between Russia and Iran on a comprehensive strategic partnership.
With the comprehensive strategic partnership plan that will be signed today, after years of preparation, we'll be able to enhance our ties in all domains, including security, economy, culture and commerce, and boost the relations together.
In contrast, Britain's Prime Minister Starmer rushes to Kyiv with a 100-year partnership agreement. Yet Trump's incoming administration signals a dramatic shift, hinting at letting Russia keep occupied territories and blocking Ukraine's NATO aspirations.
I see no other possibility of any type of agreements with Russians they would obey unless we are members of NATO and they are afraid of the retaliation from NATO if there is a conflict between Ukraine and Russia. So I do not believe in the Russians would honor any sort of agreement. They violated numerous dozens and dozens of ceasefire agreements under the Minsk arrangements.
However, uncertainty looms with the impending inauguration of Donald Trump. His administration signals a shift in US policy, suggesting that Russia might retain the territories it occupies. Trump is urging Europe to bear more responsibility, leaving Ukraine in a precarious position. As the battlefield rages and global alliances shift, Ukraine's fate hangs in the balance. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Shifting focus for now, on Friday, Russian President Vladimir Putin hosted the Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian in Moscow. The Iranian leader is visiting the country to hold talks with Putin and sign a strategic partnership treaty. Now, what is that pact all about, you're wondering? A partnership agreement between Pezeshkian and Putin to intensify collaboration across various sectors, including military, nuclear energy, advanced technology, most importantly, combating international sanctions. Both victims of Western sanctions seek to build a new balance of power in Western Asia. The coming together of Iran and Russia is driven by a mutual desire, by the way, to challenge the West. But this shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. You see, since the Ukraine war started, nearly 3 years ago now. Moscow and Tehran have been growing increasingly closer. Iran has sent short-range ballistic missiles as well as drones to Russia. Iranian weapons have greatly aided the Kremlin's war effort. In return, the Kremlin has provided some support to Tehran. Since the start of the war, Russia has been working to counter what it sees as a quote-unquote aggressive West, led by the United States. In June, Russia signed a partnership agreement with North Korea. And then in December, a security treaty with Belarus formalized the deployment of Russian tactical nuclear weapons in that country. Both treaties included a mutual defense clause. Russia also leads what is known as the Collective Security Treaty Organization, CSTO, a grouping that includes Belarus as well as several other ex-Soviet states. It's seen as a counterweight, in a way, to NATO. Frozen out by the West over the Ukraine war, Russia has been forming and strengthening alliances in the East. Iran, for its part, is facing a number of challenges in the region. Its militant allies have been weakened due to the grinding war with Israel. Its economy is in shambles thanks to sanctions. And now, with Donald Trump's return as the American president, Tehran expects more pressure from Washington to isolate the country. Both the countries have also recently faced a major setback in West Asia with the fall of Bashar al-Assad's regime in Syria. And these factors have brought the two countries closer. Besides defense matters, Russia has been working with Iran and other countries to establish an alternative to the Western-led SWIFT, S-W-I-F-T. It's basically a global messaging system that connects over 11,000 financial organizations, allowing them to notify each other about pending transactions. When the Ukraine war broke out in 2022, Russia was removed from the SWIFT system by the West, a move aimed at punishing Russia for the war, quote unquote. Did it stop the Kremlin, though? No, it did not. Western sanctions failed in their goal of destabilizing the Russian economy and instead backfired on the states that actually introduced them in a way. And now Moscow also aims to construct a railway through Iran that would basically link Russia directly to ports on the Persian Gulf. The agreement would enable Iran to function as a crucial transit point for Russian gas exports to global markets. Pezeshkian's visit to Moscow also coming at a time when Iranian influence across West Asia is in threat. And as we mentioned earlier, in Syria, Islamist rebels seized power, expelling Bashar al-Assad. In Gaza, Iran-backed Hamas is close to a ceasefire with Israel after months of being pounded by Israel. Its group in Lebanon, Hezbollah, also experienced some serious damage. Same goes for Russia. Moscow finds itself on the back foot in Syria, where it maintains two major military facilities, crucial to its geopolitical as well as military influence. But with fate under Syria's new rulers now uncertain, Russia is bound to be concerned. No wonder then the two countries are focused on building a new balance of power in the region. Shifting focus, at least 44 Pakistani nationals are among the dead after a boat carrying illegal migrants headed for Spain capsized in the Atlantic off Africa. This is the second big case of its kind in the last month involving Pakistanis fleeing their country in a desperate search for a better life in Europe. The boat carrying 80 people had been stuck in the middle of the ocean for 13 days before the rescue started, according to reports. It eventually capsized near the Moroccan port of Dakhla, the port of Dakhla. 36 people were rescued, 44 including women and children drowned. Migrants traveling from Pakistan to Spain typically attempt the journey by sea. The journey from Pakistan to Spain by the sea route takes them from Karachi to the port of Barcelona, Mauritania in West Africa, and the Canary Islands are typically places they break journey. It's a journey of nearly 9,500 kilometers, by the way. They are facilitated by agents and human traffickers who live off desperation among a large group of Pakistanis who have fled home. Rising trouble and a falling quality of life there means they are willing to risk it all for a better life. The desperation is palpable. Reports suggest a record 10,457 migrants, or 30 people a day, died trying to reach Spain in 2024. Quite a number. Most migrants reportedly die while attempting to cross the Atlantic route from West African countries like Mauritania and Senegal to the Canary Islands. Another route for Pakistani nationals fleeing home is through Middle Eastern countries to reach the North African coast. And here they board dangerously small boats to cross the Mediterranean to Spain. The Morocco boat tragedy comes a month after at least 40 Pakistanis lost their lives near Greece in December last year. Although 36 Pakistanis were rescued, the rest still remain missing and are presumed dead. In 2023, another boat carrying illegal immigrants sank around Greece, resulting in the deaths of 262 Pakistanis. Then, two authorities had vowed a strong response against agents involved in human trafficking. In the rising number of such incidents, what it all boils down to is the desperation to get away. These are Pakistan's deaths of despair.